Hello there, and welcome to the LARPBook show. In that respect, I'm not sure if we could call it show anymore because we're pretty much not doing a show what have you. But what we are going to be doing is a lot of interviews and things like that. Now, basically, what we're going to be talking about today is hidden disabilities in LARP. Okay, so I'm obviously here with Robert, and I'm also here with Susan Bailey, who is a LARP enthusiast extraordinaire. So welcome, Susie. It's lovely to sort of see you and have you on.
Oh, yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity, actually.
Not a problem at all.
Thank you, Susie. Yeah.
And I would like to point out to anybody watching the video right now, Susan is not actually driving. Somebody else is driving, so there's hopefully no accident. So she doesn't, she doesn't have to watch out for trees or squirrels or anything like that. So it's all good there.
I promise. I swear.
So, Rob, this was your baby. This was your brainchild. So,
Okay.
So kick it off, my friend.
Okay, this all started actually way back in the summer when somebody mentioned to me online that you've done a good video about people with physical disabilities, primarily wheelchair bound, but what about everything people can't see? And I thought, do you know, that's a really good idea, because I know so many people in LARP with various complaints, conditions, problems, issues, that'd be really good to talk about them. And I think part of the idea I've got is that, well, if we talk to people, we share what's going on out there, perhaps how people cope or how people address things, it may help someone, and perhaps help them to get into LARP. We thought maybe it wouldn't be a good idea for them.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I put a post on Facebook, and a load of people responded. Since then, we've been trying to schedule things up, and this is now the first interviews in what's going to be a series. And as a Susan, you're number one.
So no pressure.
Yeah, we were thinking about no pressure. Still no pressure. But Susan's coming to us from Lancaster in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And what we'd like to do is just try to open out a little bit about sort of what you'd like to talk about, actually, Susan. We don't actually know that much about you, so about what you LARP and what your experiences are like.
Okay, yeah. So I've done a variety of LARPs, everything from Mind's Eye Theater to I have one blockbuster under my belt, which I went all down to Texas this past May. That was the farthest I've traveled to go. It was the Cyberpunk LARP for Jackalope.
Ah, we know Jackalope. That was with Matthew Webb, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, actually, I met Matthew years and years ago at a vampire LARP, and we've at least been friends since.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go and support him and see what one of his events were like. So yeah.
Matthew's a great guy. I was following that LARP. It looked fantastic.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. Super immersive and extremely accommodating. Like, in terms of if you just want to jump right into it, they were very intuitive with the things that I asked for the stuff that I needed. I personally have fibromyalgia, so moving around isn't always the easiest thing for me, and I do travel with a personal mobility device.
Okay.
But I can get around and hobble around on a cane if need be.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they were just okay, you need access to your little area, because I played a junk merchant.
Yep.
So they made my little stall completely ADA accessible. It was great. Fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now I'm going to make an assumption that that's probably not across the board with other LARPs that you've been into. only a small assumption. I mean, we know what Matthew is like, and we know how inclusive he likes to be with everything. So let's go into, and you don't need to name names, all right? Just experiences, yeah. You don't want to throw real negative shade on anybody or anything. But what are some of the hurdles that you've come across with the fibromyalgia?
Sometimes places that claim to be accessible aren't so much. Gravel has been a real issue. I can't really balance on it that well. So some places will be like, oh, we have like paved areas and they're easy to walk on. That is not true. I have almost fallen a couple of times at LARPs. So I just have to be a little bit more mindful about locations.
Sure.
As I would like specific places, it's just not feasible. Yeah, that's mainly, it's how things have been set up in the locations. Less so with people. People have been really accommodating and really kind and pretty well understanding, at least to the LARPs that I've been to.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we actually find that probably across the board. Whatever LARP that we've been invited to or we've gone to just out of sheer curiosity, sometimes, couldn't be any more accommodating, friendly, lovely, etc. And Rob and I were discussing a little bit about this the other day. It's one of the few pastimes where people are not afraid to talk about something like this. It's not a stigma. It's like, oh, okay, right, yeah, no problem. Well, what do you need? How can we help? How can, blah, 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 and personally, I find that sort of very refreshing. You go to other things and it's like, standoffish, is almost like they're pushing you away with a stick.
like traveling in an airport. Oh my gosh. Yes. The worst.
Oh God, yes.
So that's sort of really sort of interesting. Even though they claim to be, have they been able to then accommodate things or change things or help you in a way where, even though they've claimed it is accessible and it's clearly not 100% accessible, not to everybody, have they been able to assist on their own, or were they willing to help?
Willing to, like, a point. Like, they couldn't change the roads. So there are portions of that LARP where I just couldn't participate as much as I wanted to, which was a bit of a bummer. You can't really stop other people who can totally walk on things to not walk on things because you can't. But there were others who kind of like hung out behind a little house area at the time. So I wasn't completely, I just wish I could had more like active participation, and that was the only like bummer part. But I think that happens a lot for most of us. We're
it does.
We can't go over the mountains and travel where everybody else is going. So you just kind of got to make your own fun at times.
No, I mean, I can't travel over the mountains just because I'm getting old, to be honest. Go like, I'll get there. It's all finished. Okay, right. Then let's go back down the hill.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Rob, I don't know if you want to talk about any of your experiences, because people who know you know you.
Okay, I'll fess up a little bit. It's interesting talking about walking and balance, because I've got a very rare form of spina bifida. Walking can be a real problem for me. My balance is notoriously destructive. To put that mildly. I don't balance too well. I fall over at things, and I'm normally fine. The things less so.
Yes.
So yeah, I completely understand that. And I find what people think is accessible actually may not be. That there's a rift between beliefs. the real practicality of having an issue and what people think is okay.
Yeah.
Do you find that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
all the time.
That
All the
was a
time.
definite. That was a definite. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like bathrooms. Those are
Yeah.
always fun. Oh, it's totally accessible, and there's no bars. You got to like squeeze in there.
Yeah.
You can't even like, you don't have a place to put your cane. You're just kind of like, well, there is a very nice sink, and I hope it doesn't give way when I try to pull myself up.
I know what you mean because what I find in the UK a lot is that people say yes, we've got an accessible bathroom, then you go down and everything's at well, it's really low. It's designed for wheelchairs,
Yeah.
and I'm here trying to think, okay, let's hope I don't overbalance or I got something I can grab hold of because I'm gonna go through this disabled sink because it's too low.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And by the way, if anybody was wondering why I was laughing when Rob was saying that his balance and walking is an issue, it's not just an issue for him. It's an issue for anybody that's around him when he goes. I know because he took out my knee once. I mean, properly took out my knee once. And that's why he's taken out doors. Doors, I mean, off their hinges. Right. But we laugh about it because he is amazing at the recovery side of it. You know, he'll fall, he'll do a tumble, he'll back up, he'll go ta-da! But even though he's just taken a door off the hinge or something like that, so it's why he earned the nickname Robzilla, because when he goes, Tokyo quakes. It's. I say I'm not taking the mickey out of Rob in any way, shape, or form because he's just as comedic with it when he goes as the rest of us. We know him. It's fine.
But it just fascinating that we've got two by name at least, by symptoms, slightly different complaints, but you also have a serious issue on access and mobility.
Yeah.
Walking, Susan, and so does mine. And we're both experiencing, different countries. They're both trying to laugh, but both finding the same problems.
Yeah, I feel like I don't think there's anywhere that's universally got it right, especially because a lot of LARPs take place at places that are older than 50 years, and any place older than 50 years, even now, places being built like the New York Library. Did you see that they just put in all those stairs with no access to anybody else?
No.
They built like millions of dollars facility and no access to books. Brilliant job.
Yeah.
So
hey, we're all going to have hoverboards soon. Don't worry about it. It's the future.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to mention about things you have to bear in mind for your fibromyalgia at all, Susan? Things you have to do to help manage it when you're LARPing. I mean, obviously we've got the balance issue and the stairs issue. The gravel, which I suppose for me people might think is flat, but actually it's not easy, especially with a walking stick. No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh God, no.
Like prime tipping area completely, and not all of the gravel is the same size, so sometimes it's just like one big rock gets you and you're just down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, especially with fibro. My daughter actually suffers with fibromyalgia as well. So yes, I understand that when she's having a particularly bad day, just prodding, will send her into you may as well have punched her directly in the face, because that's the pain that she's feeling. So even if you got really good boots on and all the rest of it, that one little stone getting into the sole of your foot is crippling, and because it's not a visible disability, people don't consider it, and as time goes on, more and more of these sort of things are cropping up. I mean, I've got a stupid one, right, where I've got to basically live in a Goldilocks zone where I can't get too hot, I can't get too cold, I can't eat too much, I can't eat too little, it's ridiculous. Otherwise, I black out.
Yeah.
Right? It's ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, when I put that on the form, they're like, oh, fine, and you can manage it yourself. That's what I always love. Can you? Are you okay to manage it yourself? In other words,
Yeah.
I don't want that responsibility because I've got no idea how to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that happens a lot, though. You really have to be your own advocate. You have to prepare for whatever's going to happen, because you can't really rely, even like simple things like, are they going to have the right kind of toilet paper here? Are they going to have paper towels? Are they going to have any kind of medicine that I'm going to need, even if it's just like an aspirin? Sometimes no. So you just got to pack that. And at least I found that I'm usually like the person who has the thing that everyone forgot, which is kind of nice to be at times.
Yeah. I definitely hear you. Certainly when Katie goes away, my daughter, and she'll happily come on and talk about all of this. I mean, right? I'm not sort of outing here or anything like that. Her pill bag is like a medicine cabinet. It's ridiculous, And Peel goes, "You got any painkillers?" Have I got any painkillers? Hang on.
What kind would you like?
That's right. Yeah, take your pick. Do we want slight headache or horse tranquilizer? Right down to the bottom. So yeah, I mean, I completely understand that, in that respect. So here's a question then. How do you think, to help LARP organisers out there, how can we help them help us?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think just actively talking to people, like, don't be afraid to ask what people's needs are. Yeah. Like 100%, if they say and start asking about, is this accessible? Is this ADA compliant? Don't be afraid to probe a little, find out what their needs are, because truthfully, my brain isn't always the best. I forget things all the time. And a little reminder being like, hey, is this okay? Do you need this? Is there something else that you need? That's great for my brain, because it jogs it into be like, oh yeah, I can't sleep on the floor. I need an elevated surface. So if there's a cot, or we can get a cot, just let me know, because that'd be great. Just things like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head, as they say, right? If you don't know something, just ask the person. Right, they've been living with this probably the majority of their life, if not all their life. They will know the answers, and they are more than happy to actually sort of say, well, here's what someone with my condition would require. Here's the things that I cannot do. Here's the things I can do. And don't assume, I suppose, like everything else, because you know of a condition. Don't assume that they can't do something, because they might actually be able to do it as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But have things in place. Talk. It's the simplest. Communicate.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you said something nice earlier. Is to be your own advocate, as to bring what you need, but also to communicate out what you need, and it's that reciprocated by organisers to saying, well, what do you need? That point becomes two-way. I think that's when good things happen. That's how I'm feeling, as well, what you're saying, and what comes from my experience as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole thing with LARP. It's a shared experience, so why shouldn't preparation be shared as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we should all, it doesn't matter whether it's a costume or prop, or, hey, I'm going to bring this walking stick because it's going to help me. Can we fit that in okay? Or can we do something else? Or, by the way, what's that surface actually like? All of these things are really helpful. And all information is good.
Yes.
Do you have a plug socket for my iron lung? That sort of thing.
Or an adapter.
Exactly.
Or that plug.
Yeah, please, an adapter. I think the other thing that Stuart said is, and I think my little monkey brain's gone quiet now. I was going to say something, but it's just about not assuming people can and can't do something. You say you've
Yeah.
got a complaint, and people kind of think each complaint is being like a solid lump of can't and can't do's.
Yeah.
But from my experience, and I think I want to ask Susan the same, it's more like a spectrum, like a really wide of some people
Yeah.
can't do that, but they can do that, and you might be really surprised about what isn't possible if you talk to them.
Oh yeah, and that can vary on the day. Like
Yeah.
I can have really good days and I can have really bad days, and
Yeah.
sometimes what I could have done yesterday I can't do today. I think
Yeah.
versatility is key, especially with a LARP. One thing I'd like to like ask for again, instead of not just preparation, but like storylines that don't necessarily have to happen off-site completely. I am perfectly
Yeah.
happy to play ground control. If
Yeah.
there's a way to participate with those who have wandered off somewhere,
Yeah.
that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great.
Absolutely spot on. I mean,
Yeah.
accessibility is such a key thing. A lot of the LARPs that we go to, right? They're usually fantasy based. The UK loves fantasy based ones, all right? because we got some of the oldest structures and oldest woods, and it's just prime for it, right? It's just simple as that. And of course, they're all set in forests and woods and hillsides and all the rest of it. And you go, right then, we're going to have a battle on this big sort of plot point. So we have to walk 5 miles that way. It's like,
No.
can't we have the plot point in here? Will that be all right?
Or at least
Just
part of the
once.
plot point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just get started.
part of
Maybe just get something going on here. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's
yeah.
so true.
I could not agree more than that. And there are some days where I'm sure the players would actually love the fact to be able to sit and have their beer and have some plot point going on. Yeah, it's good. You know.
Yeah, that's so true.
That's why I play the majority in like Nordic LARPs or bespoke LARPs that are less action based, probably for that reason.
Yeah. Actually, that's a day true. When I started LARPing, I played a lot of awful horror LARP, and I still do. And again, that's actually enclosed locations. You're not traipsing up and down mountains because it's mostly set in around buildings or building complexes, and it actually lends itself perfectly to my needs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and they've always got an indoor toilet.
Yeah.
Yes.
No horrible blue boxes there. You know. There we go. So marvelous. Well, Susan, is there anything else you'd like to say on this subject? It's a free forum. Go for it.
Just be respectful to potential players, and don't count us out, because my goodness, we can contribute greatly to these stories if you just give us a chance. And actually, I'd like to give out a shout out to Jacqueline Burke. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She made a fantastic LARP where in her system, beforehand, you got to say what your needs were in the scenes. So if my brain needed a little bit more time to respond, I had the ability to let the other players know, and they could wait for me, which was extremely inclusive. And I think more of that could be adapted to a lot of other LARPs. So I just wanted to give that mechanic a shout out, definitely.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, let's hope more people take that on.
Absolutely superb. Yeah, that sounds great. Well, thank you very much, Susan. It's been absolutely marvelous talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's good to see, that the inclusion is there and people are willing. It's just let's get that communication, that dialogue going, and as you say, don't count the people out, because guess what? They're usually bloody clever at getting away with things, and working around to make it work. Yeah, so
creative solutions.
Creative solutions.
Yeah, perfect.
So again, thank you very much for coming along and doing this. As pretty much always, if you have been watching this, thank you very much. Thank you again to Susan. Thank you to Rob. If you want to sort of help contribute and help us do these sorts of things, we do have rather than Patreon, which wasn't working out very well for us, Rob's decided to set up something called, well, it's called Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/LARPBook, and buy us a coffee. It's as simple as that, right? Coffee keeps this thing going, that thing over there going, whichever way he is, and probably Susan going as well.
100%.
Yeah. Coffee is our friend, so that that's well, I think it's pronounced Ko-fi, but you know,
It's coffee.
let's go for coffee because we are in Wales, isn't it? Right, coffee.com/LARPBook, and just buy us a coffee. It's a far easier way of doing it. So again, thank you very much. Thanks to everybody that participated, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So if you have been watching, thank you very much. Do not forget to click the subscribe and to hit that little bell to see when more things come out. So for now, it's goodbye from me.